Well, you said start. I didn't know what you meant. Start with something.
No, you said you started off saying I'm really into, and then I'll wait, and then I hit record right after that. So I said no, start with that.
My friend Carrie's daughter Jenna is a hoot. She's really quiet and petite, and then out of the blue one day she'll just go caw. And it makes me laugh. So I do it often. Just
Well,
to
I
get
know
her
that
to
of
laugh.
I know that of you. Have you? So if there's silence in a room, someone in that room is thinking. Yeah, there's silence on the podcast.
Yeah.
There's someone in that room is thinking of Abraham Lincoln.
What?
Yeah, and so they'll shout Abraham Lincoln.
Statistically?
Yeah. But now, well, so if you keep telling people that, now the next time you're in a quiet room, you're going to think someone in here is thinking about Abraham Lincoln. Oh crap, I'm thinking about Abraham Lincoln.
I won't be. I'll be thinking about John Wilkes Booth.
Oh, wow. That just went dark. Holy shit.
Oh, because it wasn't dark before.
Why is that? I wasn't going dark. How was I going dark?
Because he was assassinated.
No, we weren't talking about.
Yeah, but it's called recency. It's the last thing that happened to them is the thing that you always remember.
I could go so many places with the last thing that went through his mind.
Remember when Abe was born? No, neither do I. But we all know who killed him.
Yes, that is true. That is true. It was the clairvoyant who prophesized his death.
Oh gosh. Well, and you've seen the whole comparison between the Kennedy and Lincoln presidencies.
Yes, that's crazy.
You know what? There are a lot of, I guess you would call them coincidences. But, some stuff is made up, it seems like. Not in that instance, but some coincidences, you see.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're stretching hard. You're going to find things in everything you do.
That one is not as stretchy, I don't think.
No, that one's just weird. And and folks, what we're talking about, you can find on YouTube. There are actually videos about it, and there are really interesting correlations between both presidencies. Like Kennedy's secretary or something like that was named Lincoln.
And Lincoln's secretary was named
Kennedy. So
that's the one I remember. Just that.
That one stands out. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and what you don't know is that Kennedy actually fired one that was named Reagan. So I just made that up. But
yeah, I was going to say, well, and Kennedy was shot in a Lincoln.
That's true. I didn't think about that. But was Lincoln?
He was shot in Ford's theater. Ford owns Lincoln.
Lincoln was made by Ford. Is made by Ford. Wow. Okay,
I don't know that one. I pulled out. That one's
not
in the video.
Though.
I was convincing, wasn't it?
Nah, not really. But I do remember that he was in a Lincoln, and I've actually did I see the car? No, I don't remember where the car is.
It's in it's in the Smithsonian.
No,
I think it's in the Smithsonian.
I thought. There is one anyway. Maybe it's a replica of it.
It could be.
But at the what's it called? It's in Dearborn, Michigan. The Henry Ford Museum or something like that. Oh my gosh, it's quite awesome. Bill Taylor will know that.
Speaking,
it's Greenfield Village.
Greenfield. That's a lot of words.
I know.
Have you been to the Studebaker Museum in? Where's Notre Dame? What city is that in?
South Bend, Indiana.
South Bend. Yeah, there's the Studebaker Museum in South Bend, Indiana.
Really?
Yeah, when Jen was 9 months pregnant, I mean, she was ready to pop. We went to a wedding in South Bend. And between the service and the reception, we had some time to kill. So we went to the Studebaker Museum, and I made my poor pregnant wife walk all over this giant museum. But it was really, really interesting. And I bring it up, and no one really knows this, but my mom, one of her very first cars was a Studebaker, and it looked very similar to Fozzie Bear's Studebaker, which they also have at the Studebaker Museum.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
when you told me, and I guess I never knew the ramifications, but Peyton was born in the back seat of a Studebaker, I guess I assumed that she was conceived, but
no,
apparently not.
No. Not in the backseat of Studebaker.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Hi, Lisa.
Nick says hi, honey. Hi, Nick. She says, that son of a bitch. No, she didn't say that.
Did she listen to her episode yet?
Did you listen to your episode yet?
No, not yet.
Not yet. I'm sure it's on her to-do list right after
I'm sure.
right after she reprimers the Jeep.
Right.
She will. Yes.
Oh, boy.
She is. And if you did not catch last week's episode, we had our wives on, and it was during happy hour, so it was happy.
Yeah, it started kind of slow, but got very enjoyable after a while. I don't know why. No, it was fun the whole time.
I don't know why it got enjoyable, unlike most of the episodes.
Right.
Not enjoyable. This is drudgery.
Well, I think at one point both of our wives said, "Are we done yet? Geez, this is just going on forever."
Well, I'd say more than once our wives have said that, but probably
I'm just talking about the episode itself.
Many years ago. Oh, my mistake.
Yeah.
Are you done yet? Sorry.
Wow.
Well,
don't worry. Hey, I was the one who just pulled the last thing that went through Lincoln's mind.
Yeah,
what's the last thing that goes through a bug's mind?
His ass.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yes.
When he hits the windshield, you have to finish just in case there is one person
sitting there.
Well,
maybe they had to wait till the end of the podcast. That's how we're going to get them. We set them up and then we give the punchlines at the end. Speaking of, so you were voted the funniest person on our podcast.
However,
what
did Mike say following that?
We're both funny in our own way because we play off each other very nicely.
He said something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I know what he said. Something like that.
But he made it sound like you were the brains behind the operation.
Well, we already knew that.
Okay. I just had to do the heavy side. That's all.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm not arguing. Okay, so
you wanted to talk about planes and RVs and stuff.
I didn't want to, but I feel compelled to.
Do you feel compelled to? It's almost like we're like automotive people that don't talk about automotive things. There is a new person I'm watching on YouTube, and I've only watched a few of his episodes, but they're interesting. His name is Jeb, J-E-B, like Jeb Bush, but it's Jeb Brooks, B-R-O-O-K-S. And the videos I'm watching is I was introduced to him because he took an Amtrak from Chicago to Seattle, which is the Empire Builder. And it's a trip I've always wanted to do. Actually, I want to go from New York to Seattle. I think that would be a blast.
I've seen this guy, I think.
Yeah. Well, that one was recent. So I looked back at some of his other ones, and a lot of them were, he takes long flights on airlines. Like he goes from Perth to London on a 787 in business class, or he does the new Emirates first class suite. And he talks about the difference. He never flies coach. He always does the first class or business class, and he talks about the amenities. And I don't know why. It's probably something I'll never be able to do in real life, maybe except for once in my entire life, if I start flying a lot and get status, to fly in first class on one of these really long flights. But it is something that's on a bucket list of mine.
I will tell you what, having done that, not first class, but business class, and there were first class seats too when I flew to Australia. It was, and it was a work trip, and the company paid for the coach ticket, but I had
status.
I'm trying to think what they called. No, I had to use upgrades, but it's like a world upgrade, and I got 4 a year. So that was my round trip ticket, which was awesome. But business class, I'm perfectly happy. Those were, for that flight anyway, the lie flat seats.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I could lie down and, try to sleep. I don't do that well on planes, but it was amazing. I don't need first class. You get on and they have champagne and it's like first class on any other flight, except way better.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that this is probably horrible to think, or maybe good if our bosses are listening who know I really do want to get into that side of things. I would love to do international travel for work. But every time he was get into this little cabin by himself with his really nice seats and he's like, it's great TV, I'm like, man, I could get a lot of work done in 16 hours on an airplane in a room like that.
You're just
'Cause I got
showing
plenty of
off
space
now.
for my laptop, and I could probably connect it to the TV and have dual screens. This would be awesome. Could you imagine how much work I could get done?
You are seriously, that's serious butt kissing right there.
Well, it might be, yes, but it's not like it's not true, and you know that.
I
I mean,
default to work.
do I need to show you a picture of my setup? And my setup is cut down because I took the TV away. I took one of the screens away to put at the studio, but that's my setup right now in my office.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's pretty.
and
You
that's
only have
excluding
4 screens.
I only have 4 screens right now. I had 5.
But you know the one I like the best? The one with me on it,
That's right, you do.
my face.
Yeah, I wish I could show the folks at home that picture, but I can't because it has our company name in it.
Oh, crap, yeah, I saw that too. Okay, never mind. You
Yeah.
need to stop doing company work after hours.
I know. Well, I have the screen up so you can see how much I work. Bosses.
Of course.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Did you
Yeah.
see anything on those screens? You saw the backgrounds on those screens. You didn't actually see the work I was
The work?
doing
No,
because
I didn't. I saw
work is shut down
I
because it's
saw a
after
lot
hours.
of Word documents with nothing on them.
Yes.
Just a
Yeah.
flashing.
Just a lot of the.
I
learned that in college.
FJ, FJ, FJ.
They don't make that anymore.
I know. Of course they don't. Yeah. Lorem ipsum or whatever they used to do. Never mind.
They do that still with a lot of website templates. So if you pull up a WordPress template,
Yep.
it has a lot of the Lorem ipsum.
Does it really? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Okay. I went to college with her. Laura Simpson. She's a nice girl.
Not after she met you.
Well, no, but before. I like to call it a pre-existing condition.
Right.
So
have you been watching anyone new on YouTube?
On YouTube, not so well. Okay, yes, I take it back. I have, and I have to look to find out who it was. I just looked at this Jeb guy, and
you got hooked, didn't you?
No. I just I don't recognize him, so that's fine.
Well, another one I've been watching while you're looking up yours, looking up your history. I have stumbled on, and it's probably because I'm a USC grad, so I get a lot of LA stuff in emails, and you know how the algorithm comes. So I've got someone popped up on my YouTube for KCET Online, and a whole series on Los Angeles. And the one that I watched was on the birth and development of Griffith Park, which I found very, very interesting. And then there was another one on California ghost towns in and around LA, which I also was fascinated by. So that's another one I've been kind of diving deep into. Those are long. Those are all between a half an hour and 45 minutes long.
Oh wow! Okay,
but they're really good. So
here's my new one. WATTS, Watts on Wheels.
Watts on Wheels.
No, not Watts on Wheels.
Watts. How did you say it?
WATTS.
Okay.
So like wattage in your cottage. Watts on Wheels. A probably if I had to guess, mid 60s couple, 60-year-old-ish couple. Pretty cool people. He's kind of a gruff guy, and you can see what they do. And this is the cool part. This is where, assuming one day I am able to take on this RV lifestyle we've talked about before.
And again, for those people who who missed the last episode, every time we brought up the RVs and flying, our wives rolled their eyes.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, they were
time.
major, like
almost
huge, like almost fell out of their seat. Yeah, in unison, exactly. So I'm sorry. Go on. I had to throw that in there.
They have the kind of the RV lifestyle that I would like to emulate. So they drive a 2000, I want to say it's 16 Volvo VNL 780 semi-tractor.
Nice.
And that is their RV hauler.
Okay.
And they haul a big, I can't think which model, it doesn't matter which brand, but a big fifth wheel trailer behind it, probably a 42-footer behind it. Of course, with that semi-tractor, they could haul a couple of houses, real houses behind them and not have a problem pulling it. But it's just a nice rig. It's a cool setup. And they carry with them two of the Polaris spiders. I don't
Okay.
think it's Polaris, whatever the Polaris makes them, but I'm not sure what the brand name is.
I
Two
think they're just
spiders.
spiders.
Yeah, you might be right. And then they also have a smart car that they have on a tote behind the fifth wheel.
Jeez.
It's unbelievable. And so this is their retirement thing. They have they live outside of Atlanta, and their other residence is a boat. It's a
geez.
houseboat. I know.
Wow, they're living your lifestyle right there.
I wouldn't do the houseboat thing. In fact, they showed a storm coming across the lake and just hammered the boat, and I don't think did a lot of damage. But
well,
yeah,
it's funny you say that, because I was thinking, and it's not here yet as we are recording, but it will have hit and is long gone.
Yeah.
Hurricane Laura, I believe,
yeah.
which is going to hit the Gulf Coast and actually come up even up here to the Nashville area and Kentucky.
Arkansas, it looks like it's going to, I mean, diminish obviously, but going to hammer Arkansas. It may be already for all I know, but I heard it did lots of damage in
Louisiana, Texas.
Yeah, well, it's kind of right in the border of Louisiana and Texas. Lake something or other.
Lake I want to say Pontchartrain, but it's not. It's Lake Charles.
Well, Lake Charles is correct.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Lake Pontchartrain is in New Orleans.
Right.
Or just outside of New Orleans.
Right.
By Metairie.
Nice. Nicely done.
Anyone who knows New Orleans knows that it's Metairie.
And John's sitting up in his chair like, I know New Orleans.
Well, it's funny. True story.
Well. I don't remember much of it, but
I was doing a training class, a presentation at the Superdome. They were having a major auto show there, and they invited me to come, to come and speak. So I'm speaking to all these people who are going to staff the auto show. And we were talking about something, and I said, yes, and it doesn't matter if you're coming from, Pontchartrain or if you're, coming from Metairie. And one of the guys raised his hand and said, are you from here? And I said, no. He said, you're the only one that's ever said Metairie right. Because it's spelled like Metairie, Metairie or something like that.
Interesting.
And so anyway, it's pretty funny. That's how I will always say Metairie.
Metairie.
Yeah.
Well, that it was always a game when I was more pompous than I am now, which is hard to believe.
What?
I know, it's so hard to believe, but I used to test people on names of cities in Minnesota.
Oh, well, I could do that in Wisconsin too.
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
Okay, you start with the Minnesota one. Let's see if you can.
No, we'll do that later. I want to finish my. I know. Try to get back on task. I mean, jeez.
When did we start doing?
I know. We had our wives on. They beat us up for being so freaking. I don't know.
So anyway, there's more to the RV story, which I will share with you in just a bit. Please continue.
Okay. Well, I was going to say with something like that, with a storm, I was thinking, okay, you've got a boat. And I know some of the people that we watch that are ocean goers, they every year they actually try, they don't outrun anything, but they'll move their boat to like the other side of the Gulf or even into the Pacific so they avoid storm season for insurance reasons.
Sure.
And then they'll come back to the Caribbean or wherever they were after the storm season. Some people, depending on what part of the world they're in, they might go to South Africa during hurricane season. Something like that. But others, your boat is stuck. You are confined to that body of water. So, if you're not able to, like, you're not a full-time boater, you've got your boat down in the Gulf, a hurricane comes, you might be in trouble. You might be. There are things you can do, but you might be in trouble. Well, whereas if you have an RV, you can watch the weather and go, okay, there's going to be a storm here. We're driving north or we're driving west.
Absolutely. And in a day or two, the storm is coming in, and that's part of it. The other part is you can situate yourself in a part of the country that is not susceptible to stuff like that. Now, it doesn't mean you'll never get it. It just means the chances of that happening are much lower than if you're wintering, let's say, by Houston.
Right.
Because Houston, we moved down there. And on the day we moved, they had tornado warnings, and it was December 31st.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So you kind of know some areas are more susceptible to that stuff. And again, you can assume, go to Phoenix or whatever and say, well, I'll be good here. And then a big haboob comes in
Yeah.
from the west. And oh man, roll up the windows, turn off the air conditioner
Right.
because I don't want that crap in here.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway.
I don't know. That was just one of my random thoughts about it because one thing about RVing that always made me nervous is what do you do with a major storm? Because that's just they're not connected to the ground.
Oh no.
They're not that heavy. They're going up, they're gone.
Yeah.
If you get hit.
No question. And well, I mean, heavy is relative. They're 15,000 pounds, which seems like a lot,
It's
but
not a
in a
lot.
tornado, it's not a lot. And
No.
and if
Just
it's
pick it up like a
especially if it's a
toy.
direct strike or whatever,
Right.
And they're made of nothing. It's laminate and wood. Many of them have steel or aluminum frames, but yeah, if you're expecting protection, you're actually better off in your semi tractor than you
Yeah,
are
probably.
in the
Because the engine will at least keep you down.
You would think.
Somewhat.
You would
I
think.
have seen Twister.
Yeah. Yes. The best thing to do, my opinion, is get out before it happens. And as I said, the other part is just make sure you are in a place that you want to be.
Right.
It's not that different from not being north of Nashville in the winter.
Right.
So because
so speaking of another guy I've been watching, which I find fascinating, just because I take bets on it in my brain, not with anyone real. So I'm betting myself.
Wow. This is why you do so poorly in Vegas.
That's very true.
I'm sorry. I was just betting to myself.
Exactly. Or maybe I do very well in Vegas. Have you thought of it that way?
Yeah, but you don't.
That's true. That is so very true.
It was just an inherent thing. I don't either.
Where'd it go?
Well,
anyway, it's a young guy, or sounds like a young guy, who's doing weather predictions. Here we go. Direct weather. Okay. So we have third fall 2020 forecast, and it's talking about this fall's what the fall weather is going to be and what the winter weather is going to be like based on the forecast that he's seeing. And this year, Nashville is going to be in the cool at times for the fall and is going to be right on the line for a snowy winter.
Okay.
So we'll see, because we haven't had a lot of snow in the last few winters.
Okay.
And you know how much I love snow. So
you do, yes.
So I'm hoping that he's actually, right, because none of the other weather apps are correct half the time.
Okay, that's fine. But here's the trouble I have with that. Oh, to be a meteorologist.
The only people on earth paid to be wrong.
Well, and not even. So there used to be a dietary supplement that it would state on their ads that you take a teaspoon of this with a big glass of water before you go to bed at night and you will lose weight. And I said to Lisa, you could take a teaspoon of dog shit and drink a big glass of water before you go to bed at night and you're going to lose weight.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
So, there are going to be times of cool. No shit.
Yeah. So I say that is my statement just to be funny, but I have had the opportunity to know a couple of meteorologists in my life.
I have too.
They are very good.
Smart people.
Very smart people. And for example, one of them was in St. Louis. And I don't know if you know this, but St. Louis has one of the oldest, not the oldest, but one of the oldest Mardi Gras in the country. Really? Most people don't even know there's Mardi Gras exists in St. Louis, but they do. And it's held in the same part of town every year. And I was doing photography on the stage where the judging was happening for one of the parades. Mm-hmm. And he was one of the judges, and I had to go pick him up. I didn't have to go pick him up. I was in the group that got picked up and taken to the stage. And it was at the television studio where he worked. And he said, okay, guys, we got to get to the stage. We have to do this. We have to make this announcement because at exactly 2:04, we're going to get a gust front that's going to come through. And then at about 10 minutes later, we're going to have a deluge rain. And we're like, okay, that's really freaking accurate. If you got it down to that time, it's like, I can get accurate in spots. I can't get accurate in the whole area.
Well,
So if you're doing weather for the entire metro St. Louis
sure,
area, you've
of
got to
course,
say there's a chance of rain
of course.
because
And
someone is going to get rain.
that is a real that's really a valid point. When you are talking about, especially a major metropolitan area, let's take Milwaukee, for instance. There are at least two, if not three, different weather patterns that flow around the area of Milwaukee. And
Hmm.
anybody who doesn't believe that, go to the airport, which is right off the lake on the south side of the city. And in the wintertime, you have no idea what you're going to get. Oh, terrible, there's snow squalls, and they're talking about this. I'm going, it's beautiful out. And within 10 miles of the airport, it was coming down. And by the time I got to the airport, there are 4 inches of snow on the ground.
Yeah.
And there's nothing 10 miles away. It's phenomenal. So you're absolutely right. It's especially in an area like that that's susceptible because of lakes or Chicago's the same way.
Hmm.
Uh, there are just those little things that make a huge difference.
Oh yeah. Well, here in Nashville, we've got hills all around us,
Yep,
and
right.
Nashville itself is in a valley.
Yep.
I live technically in Nashville proper, but in the Bellevue part of Nashville,
Mhm.
and even my little neighborhood, my little hamlet. First of all, you can go to the highest point and you can't see downtown Nashville
Hmm.
because they're in another valley.
Mhm.
But even my little area is in a valley. So if you watch a storm come in and it's coming from west going east,
Yep.
it should, like Dixon is directly west of us, which is the town I used to live in. You can see it hit Dixon, come, and then it'll split around us and then hit Nashville
Wow.
because of the valley we're in. I hit my microphone. Sorry about
Okay.
that. But because of the valley we're in, a lot of times it'll just split. So if the
Wow.
storm is a lot higher, then it'll hit us. But if it's a low lying storm, it just, the hills just move it right around us. It's crazy.
Wow.
We get a
Well,
lot fewer. And it happened during the tornadoes. I said, I think on the program that my
mm,
daughter's school at the time, she's no longer there, but my daughter's school is only about 5 miles away from where the tornado hit, where the airport
right.
that was destroyed.
You did say that, yeah.
But we didn't get touched. Like my wife had no idea anything went on because of the little valley we live in.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. And here, well, conversely, in southern Wisconsin, I can actually see Nashville if I stand on my tiptoes because it's
Right.
pretty flat.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
But but central Wisconsin and north, beautiful topography, nice hills and all of that. But yeah, pretty much anywhere Illinois, southern Wisconsin to Illinois to Indiana, with few exceptions, it's pretty flat.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can stand on my tiptoes in Iowa and see the Rockies. That's pretty much how
But you
far I
are a fairly tall person, so
that's
that
true.
does help.
Anybody 5'11" could not do it, so you have to probably be over 6 foot.
Yeah, exactly.
So the fun part about all of that stuff is predicting the weather and looking for weather patterns. And that's why I think knowing that it's probably going to be cold in the winter, didn't know I was a forecaster.
You are.
In the winter,
That's awesome.
it's going to
But
be
where is it
chilly
going to
up
be
here.
cold?
Well, here in Wisconsin, which
Okay.
means, you and I currently, especially, can do our gigs from just about anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
And so I just as soon do them from, okay, I just finished up my work and we go outside to the noise on the beach. I could absolutely do that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, so this morning, I try not to call out, most of the people that listen are from our company anyways, but try not to call out our company in any way. But we were
many.
on
Let's not say most. Let's say many.
many.
Happily.
Exactly. I love it.
Yeah,
It makes me feel famous. I don't know about you. I get a lot of compliments, it's the only time I ever get recognition like that. I have two stories on that. So for the first thing, we were on a call this morning, early. No, it wasn't this morning. It was earlier this afternoon. It was earlier. Yeah, I don't know. It was sometime earlier today.
Yep.
It's been a long day. But we were on a big company-wide meeting.
Yep. Right.
And our company has decided to go mostly virtual. So we are downsizing our offices, and
Yep.
people get the option to work from home if their job allows for it, right?
Which I
Which
think, honestly, candidly, is brilliant.
I think so too. I think
Yep.
it's phenomenal.
Yep.
Now,
Me
John and
too.
I have been working out of our homes for a very long time, so it's not
Yeah.
nothing big for us. It's not a big change for us. It does open up a few opportunities
Mhm.
um, that we haven't had in the past, but I think it's a fantastic move. But
Yep.
my point to that is, while we were on the call, there were some people that were chatting in the chat in the forum and then asking questions about whether or not they could move to a cheaper part of the country, which I thought was a very valid question. But I think our leader answered it beautifully, and she did a great job when she had said something about people moving, or maybe someone asked about moving out of the country. Like, they're like, "Can we just move anywhere we want to go?" And our boss was like, "You've got to be careful with that, because it depends on connection. It depends on how close you are to an office and an airport and things like that."
For
But
sure.
I just thought it was so funny that people were saying, "Oh, I'm gonna pick up and move. We can now. I'm gonna pick up and move, and I'm still gonna have a job."
That's all you've been waiting for,
Yeah,
really?
exactly. Yeah.
Well, I will say this, having recently moved, it's no picnic.
No, no, that's,
Gosh.
yeah. Yeah, we've had our fair share of moving, as have you, and
Yeah.
it's not fun. Not
Well,
fun at
and
all.
we forget too, between times. Hey,
Mhm.
well, we don't have that much. And oh, yes, you do.
Yeah.
If
The
you
next
think you
time we
don't have much,
move,
you do.
I swear, the next time we move, everything's staying. Just I
As
don't care. We're
is.
just gonna buy everything
We're
new.
selling it as is.
Yep.
Well, and so that's, to me, that would be a challenge, a big challenge, if one would ever go to full-time RV
Mhm.
lifestyle. And I'm not saying anybody in particular, but someone would do that. Because everything you see throughout your house essentially has to go,
Yeah.
other than day-to-day, plates and spoons and blah, 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 stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you really have to look at that, and is that a great choice? Now, people talk about downsizing and, utilizing less stuff. And I mean, realistically, if we were ever to do that and, let's say, go away for a couple of months or something, I could certainly do that and, keep a place.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Is that,
I
I'm not
think
sure.
about that. I'm like, what would I really need? Okay, I love to work. So I need my
Mhm.
laptop. I
Sure,
need
of
my
course.
phone, because that's how I use my laptop. It's how I connect usually, unless there's Wi-Fi. Well, then I've got this podcast. So I need my microphone.
Yes.
Got to take my mixing board. Well, I've got a little portable one, but that only allows me to have one other person. What if I want to interview 3 people?
That's
Well, I've got to
true.
have my full mixer board. Like, I got to take my camera gear.
Mhm.
And it just keeps going like that. And
True.
oh,
Well,
I could get rid of everything in the house, but I got all those pictures in those 6 boxes in the closet.
that you have to keep, and of course, when you start talking about podcasting, it inevitably leads toward bourbon, and
Right.
you're gonna have to take the bourbon with you.
Oh, I mean, that was a
Yeah.
given. I just
Oh, sorry.
But that's not hard to move, because usually it's empty by the time it makes it to the moving truck.
Good point. Well, that's because it's Flaviar.
Exactly. Yeah, they'll follow me.
I'm sure
Just
they
change
will.
the address.
I'm sure
I
they
wonder how
will.
you would do that while you're on the road.
Well, so I've looked into some of that.
Yeah.
There are states, 3 of them, that are the primary attractions to people who want to full-time RV on the road.
Uh-huh.
Any guesses what the states are?
Colorado.
Nope.
Really? Utah? Are any of them in the West?
Nope.
Really? Okay, tell me. Florida.
Florida's correct.
Okay.
Texas,
Okay.
South Dakota.
Okay, why?
None of the 3 has a state income tax, number 1.
Okay.
And they are all 3 very, let's say, welcoming to people who want to, and I'll be careful how I say this because it's not well, and it doesn't matter, who want to virtually live there. So there are two, according to the legal minds behind it, there are two elements. One is where you live, and the other is your domicile.
Okay.
Your domicile is, so for instance, if we were on the road but still had a place here, well, obviously home base is here.
Right.
If you sell your house, however, and then move, there's still an argument to be made that even though you left, maybe your driver's license is still Wisconsin, or maybe you still have family there. There's an argument to be made that your domicile is still in Wisconsin.
Right.
What that means is any income you have are going to have to pay Wisconsin state tax, and they will track you down
Sure.
and take you to court if there's any chance of that happening.
Yeah. Well, I actually remember that when I was in college, because I went to school in Missouri,
Yep.
worked in Missouri, and I paid both Missouri income tax and Minnesota income tax because I was still a Minnesota resident.
Yeah. Yeah. The one primary way I've seen around it that they all pretty much agree is you're safe is if you transfer everything to wherever the state is that you've decided to relocate, license and vehicle registrations and and buy property.
Yeah. So I do know someone that did that. They actually live in Ohio, but they have a Florida driver's license because they didn't want to pay Ohio tax. Well,
For sure.
They moved to Ohio because family land there. They actually, so it's interesting. This gentleman that I worked with had been married, still is married, I think, to this day. So some 40 odd years. He worked and lived in Los Angeles while she lived and worked in San Francisco.
Wow.
They moved to Ohio after he quote unquote retired and then started another business.
Okay.
She lived in Ohio and he would go back on the weekends, but he spent all of his time in St. Louis. So they never, that's how they kept their marriage together, is they were never together.
They never met.
But
so
anyway,
it was like a honeymoon every time they got together. Yeah.
So anyway, they lived in California, had a place in Ohio, but they had Florida driver's licenses.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, and again, it's still, and even with driver's licenses in the area you claim to be your residence, if you own property someplace else, there's a fair argument to be made that your domicile is there.
Right.
So it's kind of murky.
I wonder why Tennessee didn't make that list, because Tennessee doesn't have a state income tax.
There are 10 others, probably more than that do not have state income taxes. Tennessee was another one that was relatively friendly, but the top three are the ones I mentioned.
Interesting.
South Dakota and Texas and Florida. Florida doesn't surprise many people.
No.
Just because they have such a vast retired population.
So this might be controversial to some people, but one of the other reasons I think that they're so quote unquote friendly and a lot of people choose Florida is because Florida's concealed carry permit is also recognized by by more states than any other concealed carry permit.
Actually, Utah is, not Florida. Sorry.
I thought Utah. Oh, well, is that
Utah
new?
No. Utah has been the standard of concealed carry. So and it's only because it's accepted in more states than any other.
Okay, I was always told it was Florida. So you were always.
There's a really tiny chance I could be wrong too.
Well, I'm usually the wrong one. I'll own up to that all the time.
Just kidding. But it's really a really good argument for national CCW.
Right.
Because it's ridiculous to go, if you don't, and there are cases on the dockets everywhere. If you go from one state to the next, and if you do not case, lock, unload, and make unavailable your weapon, you can be thrown in jail.
Yes.
Even though you legally possess it, even though in your home state you're a concealed carry holder, you cannot have it on your person.
Yes.
And it must be locked in a way and unloaded and unable to access while you're going through these other states. That's bogus, if you ask me.
I agree. So let me ask you this:
Yes, sir.
is maybe this is why I said it this way, and this solves our problem. Can you be an out of state resident or a resident of another state and still get a Utah concealed carry permit?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then maybe that's wrong. Because I was going to assume, because Florida, I know you can.
Yeah.
So I know
There's
people that live in other states that have a Florida, and they also have that state. So it's like
sure.
they're doubling up. But
I have a Wisconsin concealed carry license, and so mine is good. That we have. There's the
reciprocity.
reciprocity with the other. Thank you. With the other states nearby, with the exception of Illinois,
Mhm.
and there are a couple of others that do not accept that as a viable
Yeah.
demonstration of CCW ability. But Utah opens up several more states in the West. Theirs, as I understand, more of a difficult and for me more expensive test had you had to take that and go
Yeah.
that route. So again, it wasn't a I don't travel out west with a weapon very often with a firearm. So
Right.
anyway, it wasn't that
Well,
big a
and
deal.
that so it's I find that interesting too, because so Tennessee and Kentucky, you don't have to have a concealed carry permit if it's in your car. So you can carry a loaded weapon in your car concealed in both
Okay.
states.
Hmm.
But all the other surrounding states, it can't be concealed. And like you said, Illinois and stuff, you have to, before you cross the border, you got to
Yep.
lock it up,
Yep.
and it's just a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
And I find it's so, I agree with you. I'm not to be political, but if we are going to have concealed carry permits, there should be one national concealed carry. That's just me.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's should be that big of an issue. And again, anywhere there are, again, this is you and I are traditionally not political in this stuff, but this just kind of it makes sense. And the numbers prove it out. Illinois has far more gun deaths than any of the surrounding states with concealed carry capacity. Illinois doesn't have it. They're shutting down ammunition suppliers. They're shutting down gun manufacturers. And even the individual towns are trying to do that, infringe on gun rights, and they have one of the highest murder rates of any state.
Yeah.
And of course, it's all mostly centered around Chicago. And of course, that's where most of the voting occurs as well. So it doesn't make sense. And statistically speaking, there's very little support for it.
Yeah.
When you take guns away from law-abiding citizens, non-law abiding citizens are not going to follow the rules.
Right.
Because by their nature,
Yeah.
they don't. So I don't get the whole thing. And you're welcome, listeners, to comment on that. Again, we're not making it this is not a thing that we're standing on and saying, well, if you don't agree, then we can all disagree about stuff like this, but it's
absolutely. And
it's
you could
highly charged too.
That's something that I think we have talked about this before, and I take pride in is the fact that John and I are open to conversation, not open to arguments. No, not even arguments. Arguments are good too, but we are not so blinded by our positions on things that we won't take into consideration other opinions.
And even if we're stuck in our ways, and it doesn't mean that we can't respectfully listen to somebody else's opinion, because everybody has them. And anybody who says, if you don't think the way I do, then you're flat wrong, that's wrong. That's incorrect. And that's just something that we need to, as a country, we need to get beyond. We've got to open up the lines of communication, not to change minds necessarily, but if you feel a certain way, great. But I can't even go on Facebook anymore before I get pissed and I have to leave.
I haven't been on Facebook in a long time.
Yeah, I try to. I mean, I do a happy birthday and then I'm out pretty much.
Yep. I go in there to check metrics for Gen Studio. That's about it.
Awesome.
Check the ads. But,
yes, right. Good for you.
Yeah. No, and I also thought that our fearless leader today was very eloquent when she stated something very similar on the group call. And I was very appreciative of that. And as someone pointed out in the comments, that it was very genuine, and not a lot of times do you see that genuine feeling from an organizational leader. So that was really cool.
The corporate attitude is, and agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. It's just it's a really heartfelt element that certainly she has, and
Yep.
I've known her for a long time. I'm happy to say, and so this isn't out of character for her at all, and that's wonderful. Consistency is something that's really missing in corporate America these days, it seems like, and so I think you and I are quite fortunate to be in a group that has that consistent messaging.
Yeah, and we're not saying that to suck up. We actually genuinely think that. So
I sucked
which
up
is really
to her
cool.
earlier this week.
Well, I know you did.
Yeah,
I know you did. But I don't know if I've ever met her.
Oh,
I want to say I might have met her in passing once, but
she's very, very much just like she is, and she doesn't misrepresent herself. So it's very cool. So I will tell you just real briefly, because you'll appreciate this. I had the privilege of setting up a call between her, our president, and David Kane, who is a good friend of mine. And David does some work with a network that
Kane Automotive, for those of you who don't know.
Kane Automotive, yes. And wonderful family, and he's just a good guy. And as he says so eloquently, because he's from Kentucky originally, he said, "I have a deep affection for my friend Jon." It's just beautiful how it rolls off his tongue. Anyway, we're good friends, and he interviewed Jen for his show.
Okay.
And it was really cool. Then I set them both up, and I said, "I'm just privileged because you are two of my dearest friends, and to introduce you. And I think it's important to note that one of you is also my boss." So I had to skip out to another call, but anyway, I left them with that, and we laughed. And
that's funny.
As I understand, it went really well. So
good,
anyway,
good,
very cool. Good
Do
stuff.
you know when that's going to air?
I do not. I would assume within the next couple of weeks. I'm sure there's a production element there too.
Nice.
So,
all right.
Yeah,
like us, because ours are highly produced.
Well, and our producers are highly paid. I don't know.
They really are. They really are. And Jon, how can you help pay for the producers of this show?
There are many different ways, but one of the best ways, as far as I'm concerned, is to buy some PoddiMouths merch.
Amen, brother. Freaking men.
How would somebody do that, Nick?
I think they'd head up to PoddiMouths.com.
Is that with two D's?
That is with two D's. PoddiMouths.com.
Which they probably did already to get to this particular podcast, potentially anyway.
Maybe. Well, they might have clicked on a link.
My mom did.
Your mom did.
Yep.
Your mom. They might have gone up to iTunes or Spotify or Pandora or Amazon or Stitcher. Stitcher's one of them. I could go on, but I can't think of any more. Sorry, we're almost on XM. No, we're not.
Done.
Yeah, we air right after what's his name? Blank, gone. Poof.
Damn it.
They found us on YouTube. They could have found us there.
Yeah.
Not video, but there might have Not yet. Someday.
Dude.
When Jon and Lisa come down to Nashville to see the studio and take a tour and invest, then
Whoa. I never knew about the last part.
I'm surprised you caught the last part.
Oh yeah, I missed that a lot.
Yeah, you really did.
Come down to take the tour and invest and give all your money to me. No, I got to buy an RV.
That's right. Very true. Very true. But maybe we could work out a partnership where the RV will have PoddiMouths on it, plastered on the side, and then Bellevue Dance Center on the other side, or Bellevue Performing Arts Center.
One side PoddiMouths and one side Bellevue.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
That's done and done.
So,
and anyway, but the website, PoddiMouths.com, they go up there. You'll see a little link up there. It says merch. You'll also see links to some of our former guests and their websites, which I'd really highly suggest that you go see our friend Bill's website, subscribe to his blogs, Vehicle Nanny. Yeah. And then also head over and check out Patched Overalls there with Mr. Tyson Schaffner. Woo! Almost said his Mr. I know he's getting really fancy. He'd probably kill me for saying that.
He might.
But yeah, you can also hit up all of our social media networks there, and you can leave comments. You can sign up for the newsletter, which really isn't a newsletter. But as soon as we get, I swear, if we get 50 people to sign up for the newsletter, I'll actually start writing a newsletter. But right now, you will get emails for every episode that airs.
You are brilliant. I love that. Oh,
that's why they pay me the big bucks.
I know. Who pays you the big bucks? I'd like to know that.
Well, nature, because they're usually really big deer with horns.
Oh,
big bucks. I'm stretching there. I know.
You are really stretching.
The end of the podcast. It's the end of the day. I'm ready for bed.
At the end of the podcast, let me just tell you how I'm winning the battle. No. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say how I'm winning at life.
No, I won't say that.
Okay.
How I'm winning the battle. Lisa and I are going to look at some RVs tomorrow.
So much fun.
She's agreed.
What are you looking at? Anything in particular?
Well, first of all, I'm going to blindfold her, and she won't, know anything about it. Yeah, we're looking at some. We may look at new, but we're not going to buy new. Grand Design is the manufacturer that I think we've kind of landed on.
Okay.
But I'm not sure toy hauler or they have some different layers. One's a toy hauler with the cool ramp that turns into the deck thing.
Oh, yeah.
One toy hauler with where the master bedroom rises and you slide the bike underneath. When you get to your destination, you back the bike out, drop that, and so that gives you the full master. But on the other end, the thing you're missing in the traditional toy hauler, you have a living room that's on the other end, separate from the kitchen area. So we're going to have to see what we like the best. And we're still probably, let's just say, a while away from doing anything like that.
So about 6 months?
No, let's just say a while.
A while. Not a while. A while.
A while away.
As I while away the hours, conferring with the flowers.
If I only had a brain.
I was waiting for you to say that. And on that note, I hope you all have a fantastic week. John, it's been real. It's been fun. It hasn't been real fun.
Yes, too.
I know.
See ya.